Thank you, Mr. Chair and members of the committee. My name is John Jackson. I'm the president of William Jessup University, and I also am a deep appreciative of the California State University system. I'm a doctoral graduate from UC. My wife is a participant in the community colleges, Cal State, and the UC. But I'm representing one of 75 private nonprofit higher education institutions in the state of California. And the Master Plan for Higher Education has always recognized the importance of this sector. About 20% of college graduates in California do come from the private nonprofit sector. And our partnership with the state has typically centered on the Cal Grant program. In our particular institution, about 38% of our students are recipients of the Cal Grant. It's a critical part of their experience, and we know how life-changing an education can be. We're committed to transformative education. I have 3 children who have also finished college, got married, and so I'm broke and tired, but it's been a great experience to commend them to a college experience. I want to express strong concerns about the continuing decline in state funding for those attending private nonprofit higher education institutions. The reality is that we have a college education access program, a problem in California, and it's not just the amount of money, it's the access in terms of space. As you all know, the UC and Cal State, as well as community college systems, are impacted. Right now, the private nonprofits carry 20% of the load. I feel like one of the major public policy problems of the state of California is when we export college students. Our neighboring states are all too anxious to receive college students that we export. And so we're doing our part on our campus, and my other colleagues on the other 74 campuses are doing their part to make access available. Recently we had a reduction for those who fall out of eligibility. And we did a study in our institution and found out that 50% of the students who became ineligible in a year, even though we were as aggressive as we could be in our institution, we took 50% of the Cal Grant that they were unable to receive, and we offered it to them in institutional aid. We increased our institutional aid. 99% of the students on our campus received direct institutional aid from us. For those students who are going to fall out of eligibility, we upped their scholarship by 50% from our institution. But even with trying to replace half the Cal Grant that was going to be missing, half those students withdrew from college. That's a deeply painful reality in our sector. I also know that this committee is committed to increasing access. I want to thank you for your partnership in that. I hope that we will not see the continued decrease. We have a proposed 11% decrease, another $1,000 decrease this year. It feels to me like it's good policy, it's good stewardship, and it's a good investment in the state's economy to allow continued access for that 20% of college students who now attend private nonprofit higher ed universities in the state of California. I thank the committee for its work and commend this to you. Thank you very much.
Good evening, Veronica Villalobos with the Association of Independent California Colleges and Universities. And I won't repeat what President Jackson has stated, but William Jessup is one of 75 members. We serve about 32,000 Cal Grant students in the sector. That equates almost mid-sized UC if you think about capacity. These students are traditionally underrepresented in higher ed. In our last internal survey, we found that over 41% of our Cal Grant students are Latino, 17% are Asian Pacific Islander, 7% are African American, and over 63% are first-generation college students. So the cuts that these Cal Grant students are receiving are directly impacting first-generation college-going students. So when the time is appropriate, we urge the committee to review and repeal the 11% cut that nonprofit Cal Grant students are expecting in the fall. This comes in addition to the 6% cuts we received in the last 2 years, and the award has not increased in over 14 years. So thank you for your consideration.
Thank you.
Ryan McElhaney with the Community College League of California, representing the CEOs and trustees of community college districts. First, I wanted to thank this committee for making Cal Grant B reform a budget priority. And I just wanted to highlight the fact that while community college students make up 2/3 of the higher education students in this state, they receive 6% of the total amount of award via the Cal Grant program. One way to improve on that is increasing access to the award. The other one is to increase the number of competitive Cal Grants. There are hundreds of thousands of students who are qualified to receive one but do not. If you run the numbers, that means it's harder to get a Cal Grant than it is to get into UC Berkeley. So thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Londa Jose, and I'm the Deputy Director at California Competes Higher Education for a Strong Economy. And we are very interested in trying to bolster the state's post-secondary outcomes that include not only bachelor's degrees, but also the kinds of technical degrees and credentials that are important for the state's economy. In 2012, we came out with a report that starts to answer the kind of 50,000-foot question about what that pipeline means. And our report basically said the state of California in 2025 is going to need 5.5 million degrees, and currently we're on track to produce 3.2 million degrees, which means we're going to face a gap of 2.3 million degrees in 11 short years. And so we think it's really important to be thinking about the issue of affordability, not only so that we preserve access, but so that students don't get stuck, so that that pipeline stays open, so that students can move through quickly enough to open up spots for other students. And we're very, very concerned about that. We're very pleased to hear your support for Cal Grant B in particular. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Sarah Couch, President of the California State Student Association, representing the 437,000 students of the CSU. And first, I just want to say I work 2 jobs also to put my way through college, and I am very excited to give back after I graduate, hopefully this semester, and give that taxes back to the state of California as well. So I'm right there with you. But the CSU serves first-generation, non-traditional, and underrepresented students who really need the Cal Grant in order to focus on their education and have those resources that they need to graduate. Just in terms of numbers, the CSU receives about 30% of the Cal Grants for over 97,000 of our students, which is nearly a fourth of the CSU population. So supporting Cal Grants is supporting the CSU. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Daniel Clark. I'm the Vice President of Legis Affairs for the California State Student Association. I myself am the privilege of receiving a Cal Grant. I do, however, pay the cost of my education working part-time as a janitor, as well as taking out student loans. However, I did ask a lot of students statewide a simple question: what does Cal Grant mean for you, and what does Cal Grant do for you? Amber Denning from Stanislaus wrote, "Cal Grant made my first year at the CSU an easy transition. To not have to constantly worry about tuition and paying for everything made life easier. I no longer receive Cal Grant because my eligibility changed. I now pay out of pocket, and it's definitely affected my grades. I now have to figure out how to pay for tuition and books on my own. The extra hours I work every week has cut into the time I can spend on school." Espeda Gomez, a graduate from Fresno State University and a graduate student at San Diego State, wrote, "Cal Grant to me means a chance to succeed. There's absolutely no way I could have," and she emphasized no way on that, "I would have been able to afford college without the money awarded to me by the Cal Grant. The debt I would have incurred would have definitely impacted my chances of getting to a grad school." And then John Doe, an undocumented student from the CSU Anonymous, wrote, "As an undocumented student, I live in fear of many things. Fear of my family being deported and fear of not having a home to go back to. One thing I no longer fear is receiving resources for college. I'm on my way to getting a degree, something no one in my family ever thought was possible. I no longer have to toil in the fields in order to make ends meet. Instead, now I can fully focus on my education. I have the Cal Grant system to thank for that." All these students come from different backgrounds, come from different parts of the state, but they all have one thing in common, is that the Cal Grant system is the reason for their success in college. An investment into the Cal Grant program is an investment into the students, and an investment into the students is an investment into the state of California. I thank the committee for its work, and I look forward to what you all do this year. Thank you.
Hello, good afternoon. My name is Anthony Gibson. I'm a student at Sacramento State, and I'm a Cal Grant recipient. My parents own a jewelry store, but unfortunately when the recession hit, out went everyone's desire to buy jewelry. And so not only that, but it's never returned. So Cal Grant, unfortunately, was the only option I had to going to college. And since then, I worked 2 jobs. But to that, I was up till 1 a.m. last night studying, because at 1 a.m. is the only time I can actually study. And unfortunately, that's something that just occurs every single night. And so I want to thank the committee members, and I would ask that you not only continue to invest in Cal Grant, but improve that investment. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Erica Romero on behalf of the Hispanic Association of Colleges and Universities. As we now know, half of all K-12 students are Latino, and when we're looking at the future, we're looking at making sure that these students are educated. And unfortunately for us, we tend to be a low-income population, and so we would encourage you to look at the Cal Grant B. We do actually support Assemblymember Ting's bill to increase the size of the Cal Grant B, but also on the nonprofit institutions. The Hispanic-serving nonprofits tend to be the small nonprofits. They tend to be the Notre Dame's, Dinamores, and the Oxys. They're not institutions with huge endowments, so there's no way for them to make these back cuts. And students should have the option to go to the university that best suits them, and it shouldn't be based on what their parents can afford or the size of their pocketbook. And so we'd encourage you to restore the cuts to the nonprofit institutions as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. Thank you, Mr. Chairman and committee members, for holding this important hearing on the Cal Grants program today. My name is Paola Santana, and I'm here representing the Los Angeles Area Chamber of Commerce. The LA Chamber is proud to partner with the California Student Aid Commission to help increase financial aid completion and college access in the Los Angeles region. This year, we are very proud to have helped over nearly 9,000 students complete their financial aid applications for students to enter college. Last year, the students that participated in our program received more than $37 million in state and federal financial aid, about $19 million of that coming through the Cal Grants program. But we know despite this amount of aid, a lot of our local students are struggling to make ends meet, and that's particularly true for our low-income first-generation college students. At a time when the state really needs to increase our college-educated workforce, we thank you for supporting the Cal Grants program and hope that you will consider increasing the Cal Grant B award. And we're fully supportive of the other recommendations put forth by TICAS. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Kendra Pring. I'm a student at Sacramento State California State University, Sacramento, and a former student at American River College. I'm also a Cal Grant recipient. When I first started going to school, I was exempt from reporting my parents' income because I had no parents' income to report, and I had no income of my own to put into it except for the very minor income I had from various part-time jobs. If I did not receive a Cal Grant at the time, I would not have been able to attend the school at American River College. I've since transferred, obviously. I'm currently working 4 jobs, actually. All very part-time, but you get hours wherever you can, obviously. And I am still currently receiving financial aid. But what Cal Grants were able to do for me in community college is it helped me forego taking out a whole bunch of loans that I would have to pay back later. It helped me keep going to school, be able to enjoy school because I didn't have to work as much in order to supplement my income. And currently I'm going to be a senior next semester, and I will be receiving my bachelor's and hopefully getting into graduate school. And that would not have been possible without the Cal Grant. My little brother is a DSPS student. He is also a Cal Grant recipient. Without that Cal Grant, he would not be able to attend school at all because he has a lot more difficulty working as many jobs as I do, obviously. So I hope that I love the changes that are being made to make it more accessible, to make it a little bit simpler and easier to get through, because even as someone who's very tech savvy, I had trouble filling out all those forms half the time. So I do hope that you always consider increasing it, obviously, that you keep looking for more ways to make it simpler for students to access. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Sandeep Singh. I'm a student at Sacramento City College, and I'm the Student Senate President at Sacramento City College. And I'm just looking really forward to the changes that are happening to Cal Grant, and I just want to advocate for the increase in the award amount in Cal Grant, because Cal Grant is a resource. It is something that the students need, and Cal Grant, however much is being given, it's not enough at times, because textbooks do cost a lot, cost of living costs a lot, things of that, non-tuition costs, they add up. And Cal Grant is a way to alleviate those stresses. And with that alleviation, I mean, it allows us to be more students. I mean, it allows us to study, not work, and dedicate our time towards academics instead of divvying up our interests in trying to work and pay for certain things, instead of just dedicating all that time, being full-time, things like that. And as a California community college student, I mean, we're not traditional students. Not all of us are taking 12-unit loads. Some of us have to work. Some of us have responsibilities and things like that. And as that adds up, the more and more and more you take away from being a traditional student who spends time and time and time being a student studying. And so that's kind of what I want to talk about in terms of Cal Grant, and the award amount is just the more there is, the more you can spend in classes. And that's what it kind of means to me and the students that I'm representing, is it's an opportunity to go ahead and focus on school instead of focusing on other things when that is your priority. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Monica Sepulveda. I'm a student at Sacramento City College. I'm a student senator. I'm a first-generation college student, and I'm a California Dream Act student. When I found out that the California Dream Act passed and now we could apply for Cal Grants, I was very excited and I was very thankful because now there is a way for me to continue my education. And I'm here to thank the committee today because being a community college student, and I chose to go to community college because it's affordable, and being eligible for a Cal Grant just makes it all that much easier on me. I am not a DACA student because I wasn't eligible, and now and a number of other students weren't eligible for DACA, and so they have no source of income because they cannot get a permit. And being able to get a Cal Grant is a huge deal for them. It's a huge deal, so I'm here to thank everyone today, and yeah, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
My name's Sam French. I go to AR. I've been there for 6 years. I have not been able to get any financial aid, even though I've applied many times every year, because of the fact that I can't finish my FAFSA because my parents won't give me their information for tax. And so I can't even finish my FAFSA to see if I'm eligible myself. And so there's an issue not only with that, but also the age gap between 18 and 25, where you're dependent on your parents' income until you're 25, where some students like me get kicked out at 18 and we want to be able to start our lives and live. And I still haven't gotten any financial aid throughout my whole life. And 2 weeks ago, I ended up discovering nuclear fusion. And with that, we're able to now exponentially grow not only our economy and education and public transportation, any issue that arises, but we can create energy that will sustain the world. And so, the next 5 to 10 years are the most crucial, not only educating ourselves on what's possible, but educating our children to lead the future. So, thank you.
Thank you very much for supporting Cal Grants. It's really important. My name is Dr. Inez Ruiz Houston. I'm with the University Pacific in Stockton, California. I work with the Latino community there, and it's so important for us, for a lot of our families and our underrepresented population, to continue to have the access for Cal Grants. Please do not cut us. Don't hurt us with those 11%. I can't tell you how many of our students have been affected from the first time you did it to our nonprofit educational institutions, and you're talking about it again. So please support us. Continue to support Cal Grants. Continue to support all our students all across the way, because as you know, we're lacking the workforce, the education, so we can continue on. So more than anything, thank you again for giving us the opportunity to speak to you. But for our communities, for our gente, please support Cal Grants in keeping them and raising them for all our students statewide. Thank you.
I'd like to thank the committee for their support of the Cal Grant program. My name is Claudia Ortiz. I'm a freshman at the University of the Pacific, majoring in computer science with a concentration in software development. Now, as a freshman, I understand the importance the Cal Grant plays in paying for my tuition. Before coming to Pacific, my parents sat me down and had a very serious talk with me. My parents explained to me that without aid, I would not be going to college. They tried to make me understand that the college fund they had all gone to my older sister, who now attends the University of Laverne. Knowing the situation, at 17, I got a job at a microelectronics company working on an agricultural robot. I managed to help my parents pay for $2,000 of my tuition, but even with the scholarships I got from my high school and the university, it still wasn't enough. And so then came every parent's nightmare, was having to apply for loans. The Cal Grant has certainly helped a lot with paying for my tuition. When choosing the University of the Pacific, I knew that I would get the support I needed to graduate in 4 years, but I also knew that it would be very expensive. But graduating from high school and hearing my parents who had not graduated from high school, I, as well as many other students, understand the value education has. Just last week, I read in the newspaper that the difference of an annual income from a high school diploma and a bachelor's degree is almost nearly $30,000. I hope to be able to continue my studies at the University of the Pacific, which is why I urge you to reject the 11% cut. Thank you.
Hello, thank you for having us here. My name is Elizabeth Garcia. I'm a first-generation high school and college student, and I'm actually from East Palo Alto. So if anyone doesn't really know East Palo Alto, it's a place where 70% of high school graduates drop out, and they can't go to college, they don't go to college, and it's mostly because we don't have the money to attend college. My parents sat me down one day and said, you can't go to college, you don't have a job, you don't do anything to help us out, and we can't help you out either. So in high school, I decided to get a job. I worked 4 years, and I actually earned some scholarships and had a full ride my freshman year, so my parents didn't pay anything, and that was also because of Cal Grants. Now that tuition went up, my parents have a gap, and we have to pay. And my brother also goes to Merced, so we have to pay for him as well. And the only reason we're still in school is because of the Cal Grants. They pay the majority of my tuition, but if I didn't have the Cal Grants, I probably wouldn't be in school. I'm a senior. I really want to graduate. I need an extra semester as well. And I really want my brother to finish Merced. We want to be examples for East Palo Alto. We want to say, hey, our parents didn't graduate. Our parents never attended high school. We want to say, even though our parents didn't have the money, we didn't have the financial support or emotional support or any kind of support, we were still able to finish, and the Cal Grants are helping us finish. And we're just happy to be in college right now and hopefully be an example to everyone as well. So I hope we're still able to have I hope that my brother finishes Merced. He's a freshman. We're struggling with money, and I know a lot of us are. So please help us keep him. Thank you.
Thank you.
First, I would like to thank you all for your time. My name is Marisela Rosas. I'm a third year at the University of Pacific and a Cal Grant A recipient. As a low-income, from a family of low income and a first-generation student, Cal Grant really played a great part in being a student at Pacific and continuing to be a student. I really urge that you continue your support for California students and to reject the 11% cut of the grants. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Cheryl Lane. I'm the Director of Public Policy and Alumni Engagement at EARN. EARN, we're a nonprofit that is focused on helping low-income families, low-wage workers save. The families that come to us, many of them earn less than $14,000 a year. They come to save for many things, but a lot of them come to save for higher education, either for themselves as adults or for their children's education. So we believe that savings is definitely a tool to access higher education, but we also believe that Cal Grant Aid is necessary for those that we work with. And so we would agree with the need to increase the Cal Grant B award, as well as to ensure that more people have access to the competitive award. Finally, just wanted to mention that we're also part of a larger coalition called California for Shared Prosperity that organizes low-income families throughout the state, and that coalition has prioritized higher education affordability this year as the pathway to financial security. So we met with 1,000 individuals over the last few years. We polled 800 again in November. Again, the pathway to prosperity for them is access to higher education. And so, again, we feel that improving the Cal Grant program can help them aspire and get to that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Donna Farvard. I'm a fourth year at UC Davis, and I'm also the state board chair for CalPERG students. CalPERG is a statewide nonprofit that's been organizing in California for over 40 years, working to protect the public interest. We have chapters at 8 of the UCs and also at USC, with over 30,000 student members. And from survey and polling, we found that college affordability is one of the highest concerns with college students. And we're concerned when looking at the growing population in California that the lack of college affordability for low-income students reduces the number of educated citizens needed to power our workforce. We've released 2 reports recently. I want to highlight a couple of the facts that we found out. In our student debt trap project, we found that more students drop out of college because of financial pressures and not because of academic reasons. And 67% state that money matters a lot in terms of their daily stress. And a 2008 National Student PERG study called Fixing Broken Textbooks, it found out that 25% of students surveyed paid 75% of students chose not to buy textbooks and educational materials that they needed because the cost of tuition was far too high and the cost of living was far too high in college. Also, with our student debt trap project, we found out that 25% of students paid late fees and 15% paid over-the-limit fees on their credit card and debit cards. And overdraft fees cost students more than $1 billion every single year. So we support the continued investment in the Cal Grants program and our advocacy and organizing on the campuses. Students express strong support for the Cal Grant program. So we urge you that in this legislative session to recognize that many of the costs that students have in their time at college is more than just tuition and fees. It also includes books, rent, and transportation. And in order to have an educated workforce, we just need to expand our economy. It just makes sense to invest in the Cal Grant program. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Rachel Baltazar. I'm a DSS student at the University of the University of California, Santa Cruz, and I also transferred from De Anza Community College. I would like to thank you for your time today and for your continued support of higher education. Despite my 3.82 GPA and qualifying for maximum aid, I have never, and not now, received the Cal Grants. I rely entirely on Pell Grants, scholarships, and institutional aid and loans, and I am very grateful for the institutional support from UC Santa Cruz. Because of their support, I no longer fear being homeless or hungry. Despite their support, I will still graduate with $55,000 of student loan debt, with over $30,000 of that being from when I was at community college. Cal Grant would have prevented me from taking out such costly loans, and I strongly ask that you consider the recommendations from TICAS. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair and members of the committee. My name is Emily Kinner, and I'm a recent graduate of De Anza College in Cupertino, and I'm looking to transfer next year to UC Santa Cruz. And I want to thank you for your discussion and for giving time to this today, because I think that we talk a lot about success and wanting outcomes to reach where our tax dollars are going, and we don't talk enough about process. And we need to talk about how students can actually get there to succeed in college, at any college or any level that they are at. And I'll tell you, yesterday, when I was taking my stats exam, I was not thinking about school. I was thinking about bus fare, and I was thinking about how I'm going to cover rent today, and I'm thinking about food for the next month. And that's where all of our bandwidth goes when we're having financial trouble. So again, I want to thank you for the discussion, and please, please continue to talk about process so that all our students can succeed. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Seeing no further comments, this meeting is adjourned.